Hello and welcome to the programme. If you were watching BBC World News last weekend, you may well have seen our latest Intelligence Squared debate. The motion was the Catholic Church is a force for good in the world, and many of you watching wanted the chance to make your own contribution. So we posted the issue on the blog, and now we're going to pick it up again on BBC World News. And whether you're a Catholic or not, tell us, does the Catholic Church play a positive role in your country? Here's how to get in touch. Call us on country code 44 2070 83 72 72. You can text us from your mobile phone on country code 44 7786 20 60 80, or you can email us at worldhaveyoursay@bbc.com, or add a comment on the blog at worldhaveyoursay.com. And just in case you didn't see that Intelligence Squared debate, the motion that the Catholic Church is a force for good in the world was heavily defeated. You can also watch it through the World Have Your Say blog. Keeping me company here in the studio, we have Mike and Layla. Nice to see you both.
Hi. Hello, Ros.
And during the programme, we're going to be going live to Sao Paulo. That line hasn't come through yet, but also guests in New York, in Nairobi, and in Rome as well. But we have been talking about this all week at worldhaveyoursay.com, and Sheetal from the World Have Your Say team has some of the messages you've already posted. Sheetal, what's come in?
John blogs from the Philippines. He says, I see on the ground what the Catholic Church represents. There are good men in the Church, however, it is definitely not a force for good, but a force for power and suppression. And Tom writes, I lived in Tanzania and Trinidad for over 20 years. The Catholic Church is a force for good. When nobody cared, the Catholic Church took care of the sick, the mentally challenged and the AIDS patients. And Philip in the Bahamas blogs at World Have Your Say. The Church does not apologise for its support of marriage, and it stands totally opposed to abuse of any kind. I'm proud and happy to be a Roman Catholic. Remember, you can take part too. Go to worldhaveyoursay.com.
Sheetal, thank you very much indeed. OK, let's begin our conversation in Nairobi with Father Joseph Nyamunga, who joins us live. Sir, do you think the Catholic Church is a force for good in Kenya?
Yes, it's a force for good, because it is the conscience, is the voice of the conscience of the society, and one which reminds us of what we are supposed to do, and reminds us as good citizens and good Christians in this part of the world.
And you say it's the conscience of Kenyan society. What role did the Catholic Church play during the post-election violence last year?
We tried, above all, to make sure that our Christians are in peace amidst the difficulties that they are going through. Our bishops were trying to settle the people, and they are telling them to be calm, to pray, and to pray more, and that God may save this country, Kenya, from going down the drain.
Well, Father Joseph, I'm sure you'll be interested to hear from our guests in New York, and first from Rome. Let's speak to Anna Maria. Tell us your story, Anna Maria. What role does the Catholic Church play in your life?
Well, at the moment, the role is, it's quite a particular situation, because I come from the earthquake city of L'Aquila, and at the moment, apart from all the other problems we're having, my personal opinion is that the Church should be helping the homes being to be restructured, not only helping the reconstruction of the historical churches, but they should be helping the population to have a house to live in.
Well, that's a fascinating idea, that the Catholic Church isn't just responsible for the people who attend its services, but also for everyone within the community. Layla, you've just converted to Catholicism. Do you agree with that?
I think that the Catholic Church should play a bigger role in helping each individual restructure their lives. But at the same time, I can see why they did reconstruct their churches instead of helping each individual reconstruct their lives. But at the same time, I do think they should play a major role, a much bigger role, in especially when winning people over with the people instead of just their church and institution. Anna
Maria, explain to Layla why the Church should concentrate on everyone rather than on Catholics, active Catholics instead.
I'm not quite sure about the active Catholics, but there was a comment last week from Silvio Berlusconi saying that 70 churches will be ready for Christmas. Now, I'm probably one. No, I'm not. I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a churchgoer. I believe in God, but that's a different thing. You can't provide 70 churches in such a critical state that the city is in for the people that attend church one day a year. This is my opinion. I mean, L'Aquila's full of churches, and the only festive occasion is when you see the crowds of people. Is it Christmas or at Easter? So I can't see the urgency of getting some churches ready before the security of people's homes. I'm not saying that the church is responsible for the reconstruction, but they should be donating
I think
to help people.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I think there's a clear difference needs to be made. I think we need to differentiate between the church as an institution and whether the institution and the governing body and the way it is managed is a force for good, and individual people. Individual people of any faith or none can, of course, be a force for good or evil, and I think those two are separate issues. And I think lots of the problems people have with the Catholic Church is the institution and the mechanism. That's what a lot of the time is wrong.
Clearly, you don't have those problems, Layla. Others,
No,
you wouldn't have converted.
I think no, I've converted, and I'm positive for the Catholic Church. But I think no matter whether you go to Catholic Church every Sunday and pray, you can still be a bad person. So yeah, those two are separate. It depends what you are like as a person and how you've grown up.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I do think the Catholic Church has a really strong input in people's lives, and I do think it does change.
Okay, well, let's bring in our sixth contributor into the discussion. We have Maureen, who's live in the BBC's New York bureau. You were a nurse in a Catholic hospital, Maureen. Tell us more about how that's affected your view of the work the Catholic Church does.
Well, that was really only part. I'm what would be called a fallen away Catholic, and I have big problems with the institution of the church itself. I certainly agree with some of the other speakers. My problem basically is that it does seem that the money also goes to the top, and there are certain discrepancies in the way they treat patients. For instance, many AIDS patients are treated in a slightly deferential way, even though sometimes they are only partners of someone who's given them AIDS. I have my reasons for falling away from the church are the institution itself and its religion as far as birth control. Whereas Mother Teresa was absolutely a fantastic person, she worked tirelessly and for no money, but she worked in areas where people were starving to death, and there are strict rules against any type of birth control. There are rules on sexuality, not accepting the fact that sex is actually part of a love relationship, but only to have children.